lighting, we were joined by the Bibas family, whose family members were taken hostage by Hamas and murdered in captivity. 2 years later, thanks to the advocacy of the hostage families, all living hostages held by Hamas are back home with their families, and only one hostage remains in Hamas captivity. We hope that that hostage will come home soon as well. We remain committed to bringing home that final hostage, whose body Hamas still cruelly, viciously holds in captivity. Now, this is always a special event for me. As the highest-ranking Jewish elected official in American history, the significance of lighting a menorah here in the United States Capitol is not lost on us. It's a reminder of how far the Jewish people have come in our long, winding history. As we know, the story of Hanukkah is, among many things, a story of perseverance in the face of unspeakable hatred. It's a story about how the Jewish people of a different age, forced from their land, forbidden to practice their religion, their temple desecrated, gathered to pray in secret, banded together in the hills and fields, and fought off their attackers. And once victorious, they set about the hard, slow work of rededicating the temple and lighting the eternal flame of hope. Today, thousands of years, that flame still burns, but in too many places, it's flickering. The evil forces of anti-Semitism, neo-Nazism, and other forms of hatred and bigotry are running rampant in our society. And too many, far too many, are silent against these threats. But when it comes to anti-Semitism, silence is dangerous. When we stay silent, that's when the poison of anti-Semitism spreads like wildfire. We have seen that throughout our history. The word Hanukkah means dedication. We surely need that today. Standing up against anti-Semitism, whenever and wherever it occurs, can at times seem daunting to some. But in this day and age, if we're to keep the eternal flame of hope alive, it is imperative. As we get ready to celebrate Hanukkah, let us stand together and send a clear, unmistakable message. The evil forces of anti-Semitism, hatred, and bigotry will never find safe harbor in America. Chag Sameach, a very happy Hanukkah to you all. And now it's my honor to call on my colleague in the House, Leader Jeffries.
Good afternoon to Speaker Johnson, Leader Schumer, of course, distinguished colleagues in the House and the Senate, all those assembled. It's a high honor and a distinct privilege to be with you all once more on this very special occasion. Certainly thankful for Rabbi Shemtov, for his leadership, for his partnership, for his friendship, for always committing to bringing us together, not as Democrats or Republicans, but as Americans. The story of Hanukkah is one of inspirational perseverance against tyranny, unfathomable resilience in the face of oppression, and unprecedented spiritual rededication. Among the miracles of Hanukkah is that a tiny jar of the oil needed to light the menorah in the temple, intended to last for just one day, lasted for 8 full days. For that miracle, of course, to transpire, someone had to have the foresight to leave a jar of sacred oil behind in the face of the oppression that was taking place, knowing that one day, against all odds, the temple would be rededicated. Just one person ignited a miraculous moment. The story of Hanukkah teaches us that one person's light can help drown out the darkness. These, of course, are challenging times, but inspired by the story of Hanukkah, we know that brighter days are always ahead of us. These past years, of course, have not been easy for our Jewish brothers and sisters, But as the Hanukkah story makes clear, the Jewish community, for thousands of years, has been a resilient one. It has been more than 2 years since the horrors of October 7th and the beginning of a new period of great challenge for Jews in America, of course in Israel, and throughout the world. This Hanukkah, however, we do breathe a sigh of relief, knowing that after 2 unbelievably painful years, all of the living hostages held by Hamas have been reunited with their families and loved ones in Israel. As we move forward, our determination to fight anti-Semitism and our commitment to Israel's right to exist as a Jewish and democratic state remain ironclad. And together, we will crush anti-Semitism whenever and wherever it is found. Like the person who left that tiny jar, each of us has the power to help spark transformational change inspired by the miracle of Hanukkah. May God bless you. May God bless the United States of America. Happy early Hanukkah. It's now my honor to yield to a man who needs no introduction, Rabbi Shemtov.
I will be brief for 2 reasons. One is because that's what we need to do, and number 2, I promised Leader Schumer that he won't be late, and thank God I have credibility with him, and I don't want to blow it.
Much credibility.
Thank you. As a matter of fact, I know the speaker is not physically in this room, even though he's very close by, but his menorah is here, and he's the host today, so I want to recognize him, even though we are still waiting for him to possibly join us, and also the leaders who are here, Leader Schumer, Leader Jeffries, good friend of mine, of course, both of them are, and also Congressman Goldman, who's half of that twinning of a tale of 2 Goldmans that we have in the House now, one from Brooklyn and one from Texas. So you're both here. Thanks for being here together. And of course, Randy Fine from Florida, who's working his way towards officially declaring himself a Chabad congressman. When I say leaders and friends, they're almost synonymous, and it's not the first time we're doing something that brings people together as Americans, as Leader Jeffries said. It was about 30 years ago that Leader Schumer joined with Speaker Gingrich to award a Congressional Gold Medal to the Rebbe, and that was together with Jerry Lewis and John Lewis. And I remember when we got sponsors, people said, "You got Newt and John Lewis on the same letter. I don't care what this is, I'm in." So I think that that's the message for today. If you look at the menorah to my right, you'll see a branch in the middle, reminiscent of the menorah in the temple, where there was a branch that had a flame straight up and 2 sides that branched out from the base facing towards that middle, which is moderation. And I think that there are 2 ways to look at people who go out from the base into different directions. And one is we can focus on the differences and worry about conflict, or we could focus on the variety that brings unity in the spirit of a pluribus unum, which is the basis of this very nation. It's basically, as I told a bunch of bankers, room full like this, last week at the IMF IDB World Bank party. I'm not an economist, but the one that is earlier is 1 versus 1 equals 0. The second equation is 1 plus 1 can equal 3, because it enhances all the parts of the whole. And I think that you will soon notice that I will light the candles. I'll start with 1 small one, and then it'll go to 2, 3, 4, all the way till we have 8 plus the middle. To echo what Leader Jeffries said, you know, sometimes we have to start out modest with what we have, with what we're sure of, not get intimidated or overwhelmed because of the great scope of what we have. And finally, yes, we were here 2 years ago with the Bibas family and with hostages who are still in captivity hoping for their release, praying for their release, and now we're back celebrating their release, and that's because, notwithstanding different opinions, the leadership of both sides did come together to support that. I saw that with my own eyes by the welcome of both the Speaker and Leader Jeffries here on the House side to their families. And Leader Schumer mentioned anti-Semitism, and I think that it's a very real thing that we dare not ignore. And just like this Capitol complex must focus on its security, it's difficult to enter the building, but if we focus only on security, we forget what we're here for. So too the Jewish people have to remember that yes, we see the spike in anti-Semitism, but we can't focus only on that. We have to focus on our mission to the world and secure it by fighting anti-Semitism, then proceed with what we're here for, which is to bring, as the Lubavitcher Rebbe would always mention, light into the darkness and hope where there is despair. That's the message of the menorah, that's the message of Hanukkah, and that's why we work so hard to proclaim that and spread that. So with the permission of the leaders, we'll proceed to lighting the menorah now. We'll do the blessings pro forma. It's not Hanukkah yet. But then afterwards, if everyone who can will lead me in Maos Tzur, and I'm not sure if we're being joined for the lighting by the Speaker, but if he enters, we'll welcome him as soon as we're done, okay? Thank you. And Senator, and Leader, I yield back the balance of my time. Join me, please, if you know what we're saying and singing. Leader, I know for sure knows it. Baruch atah Hashem, Elokeinu melech haolam, asher kishanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lehadlik ner Hanukkah. Baruch but we have to keep trying and not give up. Thanks for the encouragement, but there's a lot of work. Ladies and gentlemen, Senator Schumer had a hard 3:30 on the Senate side, but Leader Jeffries is here with us. And what I do want to say is one thing. I don't get involved in their opinions on political issues. That's not my role. But one thing I will say is the two gentlemen to my left are strong and perhaps the best friends of Israel and the Jewish people either side of the aisle has ever seen. So I'd like to have a round of applause for them there. I have one more sentence. I do want to say, I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, I'm a registered independent, but I do want to say as a Jewish American, or an American Jew, however you phrase it, that I go to sleep easier at night knowing that at the helm of our nation and this institution of Congress are people who recognize the value we give this nation. So I think that that's important to remember. And thanks, Mr. Speaker, despite all the difficulty, for making it here today.
Sure. Thank you, Rabbi, and I apologize for my being a little tardy. I was whipping votes in the back room. We got it done, and I'm really grateful. This is the third annual Congressional Menorah lighting, as so many of you know, and I just want to express my sincere thanks. Rabbi Shemtov always speaks from the heart and has such conviction, and it's contagious. And of course, Leader Schumer, who is here, and Leader Jeffries, who is my good friend and my colleague, and we do share this in common, that we support Israel, obviously, and the Jewish people. And all of our many colleagues and friends who joined us here for this meaningful occasion. Two of my favorite colleagues down here who have joined us and proudly represent Jewish people in Congress, Mr. Goldman and Mr. Fine. And they're extraordinary leaders and do a great job for everybody. This is a special time of year, and we like to do this. We enjoy this because we gather here in the People's House to celebrate our fellow Americans of all faiths. And this is an important one. The festival of Hanukkah at its heart is a celebration, of course, of courage, of the Jewish people's steadfast defense of their faith over centuries of persecution. And we don't ever forget that. It's more than 2,000 years ago in the ancient land of Israel, the Jewish people were denied the most basic freedom to pray and to express their faith in the holiest of places. And it was then that a fearless patriot known as Judah Maccabee led a small band of brothers to reclaim the Holy Temple in Jerusalem. When the temple was restored, the menorah's oil that should have lasted only one day burned instead for 8 miraculous days. I'm telling you this story as if Rabbi Shemtov didn't cover it already, but for those who are tuning in late, okay, this is the history. It's during Hanukkah that the Jewish people celebrate and commemorate this miracle by lighting the menorah each year. Today, that same light will shine here in the people's house, and that's what is important. It shines as a symbol of the resilience and the perseverance, the eternal hope of the Jewish people. I don't know if it was explained, the significance of this particular menorah. Did you? Well, it was a gift to us, and it is made of the steel that came off of the bombs that were shot down over Israel, the missiles that the Iron Dome was taken down. So it's particularly meaningful and a poignant reminder of just what we're talking about, the perseverance of the Jewish people over all these years. And as we light the menorah, we're grateful for the many freedoms we enjoy as Americans, and among them, the freedom to worship freely and without fear of persecution and injustice. Yesterday, I entertained Speaker Ohana, my counterpart of the Israeli Knesset. He was in town, as many of you know. Some of y'all met with him. He's become a good friend and a colleague. And he was here because we jointly signed a letter to nominate our president, President Trump, for the next Nobel Peace Prize in 2026. And it was Speaker Ohana's idea because he thought that this was an appropriate thing, having settled now 8 conflicts and bloody wars, conflicts around the world, that he and I would be co-signatories on this, and that we would ask all of our colleagues, the other speakers of the great and presidents of the great parliaments around the world to join us in that. So it'd be a joint nomination of the President of the United States for the Nobel Peace Prize. I think it's very appropriate. I thanked him for that. We had a joint signing ceremony, but we exchanged gifts. And he gave to me a 9th century clay pot that was actually for oil, priceless. I didn't want to touch it. I said, everybody can stand away from that, okay? It came from, I think, the first temple is what he told me, and it's an incredible piece of history as a gift. And what I gave to him in exchange was a copy of the father of our country's letter to the Hebrew congregation They wrote in 1789. The Jewish leaders there had written to him, and they had concern about their protection in the United States, in this new country of ours. And they asked the president of our country, would their religious freedom be respected? And the president of our country, the father of our country, George Washington, said in his own hand, his own words, he said that this is effectively, this is a natural right, that you are given this right by God, not by government. And in the United States, we will jealously protect that. The right of every single person to have the religious liberty, the first freedom we call it, to worship and to live as you please. And that has always been a part of our tradition, and we recognize that here. This cherished tradition is an ideal articulated in our earliest days as a young nation, and that's what comes to mind when we do these things together. I just want to say that we take heart in knowing that even in the face of generations of bigotry, bondage, persecution, and exile, the Jewish people have endured and they have flourished. And that, at its very essence, is what we celebrate today, that the light of faith and love and courage and conviction will always guide us on the path to brighter days ahead. We're so very grateful to everybody here for joining us to celebrate the miracle of Hanukkah. May your candles burn bright this season, and may God bless you all. Thank you, and apologize again for being a little late for this. Thank you, Rabbi.